Over to you, Shayun. I'll share the screen in just a second and I'll leave you on screen with it. Can you see that okay? Just let me know when you want me to move on.
Yes. Hi. Hello, everyone. Yeah, this is Cheyun, a data scientist working in the workforce training and education area. Yeah, I am mainly working for the community pharmacy, and today's talk is about how to design a model for community pharmacy with open source data. Next slide, please. Mamoda, can you hear me? Yeah, thank you. Yes. Right. So this model is converting the Excel to Python, and then it was built last year to inform some of the planning for NHS services delivered in high street pharmacy premises. I know some people have a different definition when we are referring to community pharmacy, but in this context, for my today's session, I refer community pharmacy as for the high street pharmacies that you would see like Boots or Tesco or anywhere like chemistry, focusing on the two key professions, which are regulated by the GPhC, meaning the pharmacists and the pharmacy technicians. That's going to be the scope of today's talk. Thank you. Next slide, please. So today has consisted with three sections. One is for the referring the point where do I really get publicly available data? Of course, because I am working at NHS England and having some internal data set available for the employees, but this session is just to make some points of public available data sources so that anybody who can access to the web is going to be possible to build something from the scratch on the interest. That's going to be the first aim. Second, how to construct the data with the Python data pipeline. Lastly, I want to just briefly to cover some AI generated code parts. What do I mean by really about the human in the loop? So that 3 points are going to be the main theme. Next, please. I was hoping to really share my screen, to click and see which types of the data and what is the actual data looks like. But due to the interest of time, I will just skip that part. Briefly, the three data I listed in here. I have listed here GPhC registered data is available, and then community workforce survey, which is mandated by regulation since October 2022, is also available in public. And the last point is about the NHS BSA published the consolidated pharmaceutical list, which is accessible via API, but also it's okay to download as an Excel or the CSV file format, whichever the preferred format. Just a reminder, this session does not cover really the full scope of the NHS long-term workforce planning, which is why I have only shortlisted the three data sets. In truth, the whole model is referring several more, and probably more of the data list that I could introduce where possible. But let's compromise today with these three data sets. Next slide, please. So now we are going to cover the Python data pipeline. I have created a GitHub repository, which is also publicly accessible. So once you are going, please kindly click the link, the repository. So it's all there. The code examples I have archived and then made it available for everybody. Just 2 points I wanted to introduce in this call is one side for the data perspective. I have created intentionally the branch so that each branches of the data point could have not mixed up with the other data sources. I have used some AI, but also because I use the branches against each data sources, every development related to the data sources are just contained inside the branch. So yeah, we can just have a look whatever the interest of the data point at the beginning. The code structures are as like in the screenshot. So data and the source script, and then yeah, I have put some more information in the document and the README file. Next slide, please. So historically, because workforce modeling has lived in Excel, and Excel is actually a powerful tool, capable for many things, really. And then when we are discussing about the Pythonizing or the building a pipeline in Python, I didn't want to, and I don't want to mix up the messages as like Python can do only a thing, because it's not. Excel can also do the basic fundamental, the analytical skills. For example, I'm giving a screenshot of the data normalization. So in this type of fundamental analytical skills could be done in Excel regardless of which platform you are on. So hopefully I don't make a contradictory the voices against your preferred tool. Next slide, please. But moving from the Excel, next slide, please. Yeah, but moving from the Excel, the benefit of the streamline things into a system is giving us such a huge benefit. At NHS England, I am having the data, for example, like a SQL management server, which is actually quite nice for keeping the scalable data. And then it does offer the job for data integrity and the scalability. Because of my current working environment, I have started to start a SQL query. But why stop here? And because I do have the other types of tool, Python or R, to make designing a dynamic model. And this session, hopefully, yeah, to provide a starting point. Next slide, please. So I'm pretty certain that the people who joined for today's session is okay with SQL or the C3, because the repository I had directed to you was not really having too many crazy the data set, the size, and the level of the granularity. So I will skip the two parts, but would like to emphasize about the how to start with the data API. And that does work well with the third example, which is the NHS PSA using the OpenAPI platform. So once you log in to this platform, you'd immediately see the list available, download the Excel, but also you can have some starting the scratch, really like example the query. So let's start with that one. And then I am interested in the pharmacy open hours. I have marked as a red boundary the boxes, so I want to retrieve that information from the data API. So the example code stored in the GitHub repository is starting from there. Next slide, please. Yeah, so the steps are really the first, visit the dataset page, and then the second, browse available data resources. Currently, this example has been released by quarter, so the resource ID has been splitted by each quarter. And then you could be just to find the relevant the quarter and the year information wherever possible, and depends on your interest. So let's use the resource ID variable I set in the example script, line 236, to match your desired quarter. And then if you're just running the example script, then that script would automatically handle the all records as I referred to the beginning for the column I was interested in. Next slide, please. So once we are running that the script, the results can be also print, and then we can have that on the command line as a prompt. Because I have printed some total pharmacies, the number of total pharmacies in a certain finance year, and then the average week hour because I was interested in how many hours the local pharmacies are open in general. So that can be encapsulated and then assigned into a variable so that I can package the code and then relate that to the next function I want to use against. So for example, let's suppose I have built something, a function. This function is generated for this demo only. So the function I'm using is referencing the variable I have retrieved and pulled down from the data API. For example, the total number of the pharmacies, such like 1,522, that number is going to be inside the variable that I'm just making a mark point, the error is pointing at, so that the function will get that input data and then return the output according to the calculation. That's going to be the one example. Again, yeah, please do have a look at the GitHub repository. Next slide, please. So yeah, last point really I wanted to make a stress is it is important to understand about something human can do versus the AI can do. When I have started my modeling with some of the AI-powered tool like Cursor, I really thought sometimes that it's overwhelmed because it's just going to be me only sitting, and then because the information and the speed of the development are sometimes too fast. So I try to make myself the principal, which could be done in my pace. That's going to be so-called human in the loop. Let me clarify the term, for the details in next slide, please. So usually the human in the loop is referring the process of using the human feedback to improve an AI model. For the audience who have experience interacting with the ChatGPT, for example, then you would have observed that there is a thumbs up, the button to evaluate if the answer the AI had generated is cool enough or you're not happy about it. So those type of a simple evaluation loop is sometimes called as a human in the loop in tech term. It often really provides a simple validation step, but what I had extended at the term for this session especially is, next slide please. I extended the guideline myself giving to the prompt so that the model can work better as well. For example, with example of the GPhC, the dataset, if I just copy and paste only the 3 lines of the simple data table and then put into the prompt and then ask AI to answer about, what does that mean? Then for the left blurred, the point in the middle screenshot is saying that a very generic answer. But if I really give a prompt to an AI with some context focused on the GPhC or provided for the UK, the profession, then it does do a better job. I meant the human in the loop concept in this much extended way. And then that's how the code base stored in the GitHub repository is constructed and then generated. Thank you. Next, please. So using the AI prompt and the AI-powered tool, I have made the initial workforce model, starting from the data engineering, such as, starting from the something somewhere and then make a growth the projection until the certain period of time that I put it into the config. That's going to be something. And then the next thing is I prompt the AI to generate the plot as well, so that I can make some comparison table between the different scenarios. That's going to be something done easily on Excel, but also moving from the Excel and then onboarding the same job to work with the Python. That's going to be very initial model I have mentioned. Next slide, please. And then depends on the data sources, and then depends on the steps that I'm going forward to layer with the different types of data set. if I am having more information, going for, then I can just put the things to updated code, and then of course one of the strong benefit of using the GitHub is going to be really providing us to track the history of changes, including the images as well. For example, this snip is referring the GitHub pointing the changes between previous one and the new one. So it just say the image source has been deleted and then new image has been added. So the working on the GitHub is really good. Yeah, the benefit of way of working. Next slide, please. So I'm setting the scope as England because I work at NHS England, and then I put the community pharmacy workforce. I'm not really meaning to include everything like hospital setting, secondary care, primary care. There are pharmacists working in the GP as well. So I set my the scope clearly for the community pharmacy workforce only. And then I'm only putting the unit of the currency of this model as like a full-time equivalent, so that the original data sources, such like the community pharmacy workforce survey, does the job to provide this data source. And then the model I have constructed would do the projection of the workforce based on the information I'm giving the model to build. And it was also the job to plot a graph as well. And then I'm adding some nice print, the formatting, let's say, to give some output in my summary as well. So that's also one benefit I can make it flexible of the model. Next slide, please. So during my work, really on the GitHub and Python and the publicly open the data sources, I really find some the advantage working on GitHub and with the Python and the open sources as well. Just one thing that I wanted to introduce was using the version history and then also using the GitHub release tag. You'd have seen that my slide had been sometimes labeled as version 0.0.1 or 0.0.2. I am increasing the minor version or the major version incrementally, depending on how I define the changes meaningful to the entire model. But the GitHub also does the great point of making the timestamp, and then the old timestamp can be compared each other. So let's suppose I have a commit like 5 times, and then I have packed that one as one version. Then the timestamp of the 5 commits can be also compared with the next 5 commits if I set the next timestamp 0.0.2 with the 5 commits after. So that's going to be the job in between working to compare with both of the versions, how things have been changed in time. Next, please. So supply validation could be done in model. I will skip this part. I was going to demo some parts, but since I have lost my availability to share my screen, I will skip that part. Next, please. So the conclusion is really about keep in mind there is a human in the modeling loop, because a human can understand which type of the information, even though everything is publicly available, because we live in a flow of the information, and then not everything might not be very useful, my scope of interest. For example, I didn't really reveal too many concepts behind the workforce planning, such like participation rates or the regulation, how things are going for the role with definition, or sometimes the pharmacy technician job can go with the training places capacity as well. Stuff like that could have been done by the human, which is why we are very strong at looking at the domain knowledges alongside the skills that we are equipped with the Python, such like Python. So it's going to be a good reminder I wanted to deliver to audience. Next slide, please. To sum up, my session, I tried to point out a list of the public available data. And then I also tried to introduce what's available if you go into the GitHub repository. With some example, the Python data pipeline is there. And then, yeah, of course, feedback is welcome. I also lastly briefly mentioned about what do I think about the AI, and then what did I mean by the human in the loop for this modeling example. So hopefully that was sufficient enough. And then, yeah, let me close the session with Q&A. Thank you very much. And there is also a poster I have uploaded about the more interesting topic. If people find vibe coding, then please have a look. There is another separate repository I have named, and then would love to share with you further development in next time. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you, Shayun, for handling that like a pro, and for battling with all the technical issues we had at the beginning as well, and perfectly getting through your presentation in perfect timing to end. It would be great if you can share some of the links and resources, and we can share it with your recording of your presentation. And if we can also share the link to your poster, that would be great too. And we'll add it when we share your recording. And I can see that you've added the GitHub link as well that Nikki was just asking for. So that was going to be my question. We're at time at the moment. So if anybody's got any quick questions, you can add it into the chat or the Q&A. Otherwise, thank you, Shayun. And I imagine lots of people were paying attention to the step-by-step that you were taking them through in showing them what you did. And so it's very difficult to chat and pay attention to such a detailed presentation. But we appreciate you taking us through and guiding us through what you did. And there's lots of great resources you shared as well as all the links to the various databases we have. So thank you very much, Shayun. We hope that everybody can check out the recording.